you really have, on many levels, become our voice. When we see you on TV, like you say things with your face, with your eyes, and with your words that when I'm watching, it's very rare that I watch a talking head on a commentating on politics that I'm like, that's exactly how I feel. That's exactly what I would have said. You spoke when we first started talking about how emotional the 2016 election made you feel. And we all saw that.
Yeah.
We all saw you on TV going through that. Do you still feel that same rawness, or is it more numb now?
I think that I vacillate between frustration and anger and disbelief. Like, and then I'm, then you kind of like, well, I'll say for me, I judge myself like, why aren't you over this yet? You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not being very kind to my wounded inner child in those moments. But I'm just like, I want to get over it, but I can't because every single day there's something else more treacherous happening. And on the thing about the voice that I think is important, one, thank you. That means a lot coming from you. It also feels like a lot of pressure. And sometimes I don't want to bear that pressure. Like, I just want to speak my truth without having the responsibility of the community. And I think especially now, because there are things that I say that the community doesn't love. I am, another point of privilege is whether it's in every relationship I've been in, every, boyfriends, family members have all loved me. I'm used to the community being like, that's our girl, that's our girl. And like within the last 7 or 8 months, it's been like division even coming from the community. And that shit hurts. Sorry.
Day in and day out, do you think you can be the voice of your community?
Nah, you can curse as much as you fucking want.
I'm sorry. Okay, that's my
Let
truth.
it out.
That's an important point that
But
you're
it
making.
hurts.
Yeah.
It's really sad because it's like, number one, black folks aren't monolithic. We're
That's
not going
absolutely
to
right.
agree on every single thing all the time.
And that's where our discourse is at right now,
It
where if
is.
you don't agree with every single thing I agree with.
Like every single thing. And it's like, I don't, number one, I'm not ever going to be the type of voice for you where I'm going to speak your truth and shame mine or hide mine. I can't do that.
You know what I think that comes from? Coming from academics and speaking to that academic privilege, I was taught, drilled in me, that you have to research.
Yeah.
Coming from, the 5% God body community in Brooklyn when I was running the streets, I was taught show and prove.
Yeah.
Show and prove. If you don't show and prove, then, your word is not bond. Your word has to be bond. And so now we have a generation, I think, of people who you have experience as a lawyer. You had to go to school for this. You have experience in the community. People talk about on code, but don't really understand what that means. People are getting their information, in my opinion, from YouTube exclusively. They're watching talking heads on YouTube. And it's like confirmation bias. They're watching things that validate what they already believe.
Yeah.
They're in those comment sections, and then they're going to Twitter and Facebook, and they're speaking on what they saw on YouTube, and then they're making YouTube videos about what they saw on YouTube. And
Other than yourself, who do you feel is the best representation for you?
they're like, click and let me monetize and give you my opinion about. And so when you don't have sort of a filter, you don't have any type of, and I don't want to say, it's not about authority or gatekeeping.
Yeah.
It's just about knowledge.
But the thing is, so yes, I agree with that. But I also think that for me, my role as a voice is not to be. I want my word to be bond, but I will also misspeak.
Absolutely.
Because I'm human. I will
Absolutely.
forget something. I was on the phone with my assistant earlier. I was like, I got to pay this makeup artist from something 2 weeks ago. And then I was like, when I told you I was going to do that, did you do it or did I do it? And she called me back 45 seconds later to make sure I did it. That's a problem. Like, when your short-term memory is just... So my point is in saying this, that sometimes I'll say things thinking people will understand the full context, but they don't because they're not in my head. I do that with my team all the time. But there's no room for error. We're not giving each other any grace. And it's not from, like, a spirit of love. Now, granted, if you go back to, Marcus Garvey, W.E.B., Booker T, they weren't always so gracious either. Some nasty comment sections. They would have had YouTube videos, child. It would be lit right now.
They'd have been calling Malcolm X an immigrant.
Yeah.
Be honest in the comments. Do you often forget things that you know you're supposed to do, but you tend to forget from time to time?
Or that right now, yes. But I think that, or Marcus Garvey too. But like the point that I'm raising is just that I would like for us to evolve beyond even where they were. As brilliant as they were, like, can we operate from a place of love, agree to disagree, truly respectfully, not just to be saying it?
Right, revolutionary love,
That would be a thing.
not just revolutionary rhetoric.
Yeah.
And listen to understand and not just listen to condemn, because I feel like a lot of these new kids, number one, they're very, very privileged, and they feel like what their word is goes, and they don't really do all the research like you're saying, because before we had to go and look at encyclopedia. So it's like most of our information is written down that's coming from the same place. Now there's so many outlets of information you can get that you have no idea if it's correct or not.
And some of that is good, you know, because the encyclopedias was written by old rich white men. But
I loved reading the encyclopedia.
it's about,
though.
but it's about vetting your sources, right?
Yeah,
It's about
yeah.
understanding that if you're reading Huffington Post or The Root or, you know, whatever these stories, you have to understand this is a left progressive bias, and they might be biased and they think. I'm of the opinion that the leftist bias is closer to the truth.
Yeah.
List in the comments, where do you get your information from?
That's my own opinion.
Right.
But, you know, you have to understand that, you know, there's sites that have a right bias. There's sites that, Encyclopedia Britannica has a bias.
And there's also sites that just are wrong. You know,
Yeah.
and to me, like, if there was one thing, like, if I die tomorrow, I want people to know this. Because it's in print does not make it fact.
That's right.
Period. Like, we got 1,000 textbooks. I use this example all the time in my, see how I didn't even finish my last sentence, but I have a better idea. There's a
Take note. That's what smart people do.
Yes.
They cover it all.
Or you got ADD or something. But there is a thing that I say in speeches often where I'm talking about George Washington, and those are not wooden teeth. Those were not wooden teeth in his mouth. They were teeth from his slaves.
That's
we
right.
didn't learn that in class because they wanted us to believe he was just out here picking apples or whatever the hell. He was like, right? Didn't you learn
Right.
about George Washington and the
Yeah.
apples?
That's
You
what
learned
I
that he
knew
had
about
wooden
it.
teeth in his mouth.
Yeah.
Like, they want to glamorize this stuff. And I posted something about, man, some of these dudes that had no business on Mount Rushmore, and somebody from Indian country was like, they didn't need Mount Rushmore. They took that from us too. And I was like, facts, you right.
Right.
So, you know, anyway, I don't even know what my point was.
So
Oh, it's not fact because it's in print. The textbooks
That's
are
right.
lying too.
that's right.
But you just got to read everything. When you read an article, try and find at least 4 more articles on that same thing to try and figure out if it's telling you the truth.
Come on, journalists, and teach. Come on.
No doubt.
Fake news has been a big thing going on a lot lately. Let me know in the comments, do you jump on board with that whole fake news situation? And if so, why is certain stations fake news to you? Give me something to gain a better understanding of where you're coming from.
Come on.
So when I say something that people have an issue with,
Yeah.
they go after my music. If they can't beat my argument, they'll go after my music, or they'll be like, you know, Mos Def was better, or this and that. With women, they're gonna go after your looks and your hair and your clothes immediately.
There's a I won't give him any power by mentioning his name, but there's not even an activist. What is he? I don't even want to call him a scholar because he couldn't get tenure. A person who, like, is mad at something I said recently. He's always mad at me. He claims that I was arrogant when I met him. I think I was just rushing out of a venue, but people decide that's arrogance. But he called me a bitch on whatever platform he has. And so I think that's interesting. To me, I'm more offended by bitch than I am cunt. Cunt doesn't hit me as much as, like,
That's
the
a white
N-word does.
people
Yeah, I think
insult,
it might
that's
be.
why.
I
Yeah,
don't
white
get-
women get very upset.
Yeah, I don't want to be called one necessarily.
You know that you
but,
can
like,
get
I'm
kicked
like,
off of Twitter for calling a woman a cunt,
Oh, well, they need
but
to
you
be
can't
kicking
get
people
kicked off of
all
Twitter for
nonsense.
calling a woman a bitch.
Interesting.
Yeah, cunt is seen as, I know the TOS
Let's talk to
very
Jack
well.
about that. I know.
Very well. I know the ins and outs.
If y'all didn't know
Totally
Tally was a
different.
troll, he's a troll on Twitter, y'all. It's a professional, high-grade troll.
Professional.
Hey man, I troll the trolls, man. I bully the bullies. That's what.
This video raises questions, and I need you to be extremely honest in the comments when answering them. And just so you know, I have 3 questions. Number 1, before this video, have you ever heard the name Angela Rye? Number 2, have you begun to make change in your community? And number 3, are you a leader? Now please be honest when answering these questions. Share this video with anyone you deem necessary, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.